All right, welcome back to Buddy Buddy. I'm Andrew Guy. I'm here today with the best athlete that I've ever met, a guy that might love LeBron James more than his wife, and a guy that's sure enough going to gritty across my living room as long as Pat Mahomes wins his second Super Bowl. The man himself, Hampton Wedman.
What's up, guys?
Sorry, I had to prepare a little intro for the man. He wasn't expecting that. But Hampton, thank you for coming on my podcast. This is just my intentional effort to reconnect with my community. I know we go to church together, and we see each other fairly regularly. But this is just my effort to say I care about you, and that I want people to know that community matters, and that having intentional conversations is something that's worthwhile and something that needs to be done all the time. It's not just friendships aren't meant to be surface level, and this is my intentional effort to show that good conversations should happen.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you for inviting me. This is very exciting.
So. Yep. Yeah, when I first had the idea to start this, you were the second person that I told that I was going to do this. We'll go into us doing fasting and whatnot, but when I was in one of my fasts, this was an idea that came up, and I told my friend Jeremiah, who was actually my first guest that I had earlier today, and then I had you. And so I wanted you on this podcast because you are one of the most intentional people that I've ever met. You do whatever you can to let people know they're loved, and you'll go out of your comfort zone to make sure that people feel cared about. And so I've always admired that about you, and I've always seen that at church. And I appreciate your friendship. So that's why I wanted you to be here. But yeah, so Hampton, tell me a little bit about your life, or these people a little about your life, even though I already know a little bit about you because I heard your story on Sunday.
Yes, I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina. I went to Spartan High for 3 years and I transferred to Woodruff. I'm a part of Church at the Mill Woodruff more specifically. And my life has been fairly different from most people's lives, I would say. I grew up in a 2-parent household. I have 5 different other siblings. Only 2 lived in the same household with me, and the other 3 did not. So I know we're probably going to get into this. So I was saved at the age of 11, and I didn't start building a relationship with the siblings outside of my household until I hit high school, when I kind of could understand what they were going through and the differences between their life and mine. So I made an effort to connect with them, and just the people around me that I've met in Woodruff, at Church at the Mill, and the mentors that are still with me from Spartan High. And my parents have helped instill principles inside of me, biblical principles that I stand on, and that I try to share with other people, with the siblings that didn't have that foundation with me.
Yeah, I love that. I also got to hear that. I was very grateful to hear your story on Sunday as you spoke to the students at church, just about your life story and your testimony. And part of your testimony is actually in the room. She's kind of like hearing in from the other room. We actually have an audience for this podcast. Your wife's here.
Yes.
And you met your wife in high school.
Yes, I did.
Your senior year when you transferred to Woodruff. And so, yeah, you're fairly young, though, and you're already married.
Yes.
So,
I'm 20 and I'm married. I got married in October 15th of last year. So we're coming up on our 1 year very soon. And it's been a blessing. God has blessed us through this. And I thank God she is my better half. So I'm so thankful, and I'm so blessed to have her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And y'all are in the process of building a house, your first home.
Yes. Yep. We are in the process of building a house in Woodruff. I'm gonna become a true Woodruffian.
That's right.
Be a part of that family.
Yep, you'll be fully a part of the community at that point.
Yes. So that house should be getting finished built roughly around the first week of October, and the latest is probably the first week of November.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember we sat down at Monami and we just talked about homes and like being a homeowner, and you picked my brain about it all. And so I'm glad that y'all are finally getting to that step, because that's like a super exciting time. And there's not like a greater feeling really than like saying, I have my own place, like this is mine, and something like where you can truly call yourself a home, where you can build a family in. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I have a family one day. I'm still single, or I'm dating somebody, but very early on. But yeah, that's awesome. And so you're truck driver, Pepsi.
Right.
What made you want to do truck driving?
So a balance between football and school. I was really considering college. And I just didn't think it was for me. And I saw my dad drive trucks, and I just saw I rode with him. I saw how fun it was, and delivering was fun. The freedom, not having somebody over your back, and I was just like, hey, I think truck driving is a good thing to do. So I went to CDL school at SEC. And it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I got a job at Pepsi, and I've been driving for my 2 years. Just came up in June.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. It's probably no connection because you probably don't know him. But one of the people that I grew up with, he was one of the adult leaders in my youth group. He might be retired by now, but he worked for Pepsi. His name's Eddie Gregory. I don't know if he ever drove. I have no clue what he did. I just know he worked for Pepsi. But yeah, so one of my like go-to questions that I ask friends is off topic really, but since you're a truck driver, I have to ask: when you at a stop, when you at a truck stop, like say you gotta get gas, what's your go-to like drink and snack combo at a gas station?
At a gas station, depends on if it's like morning time. Because if it's in the morning, usually what I would do is I get a chocolate milk.
Okay, fair.
Chocolate milk. And most likely a Debbie cake. So
a Debbie cake, like just a plain
oatmeal pie,
oatmeal cream pie.
So that's typically what I would get. If it's later in the day, I'll probably get a pure life sweet tea and probably just a bag of chips like Ruffles. The sour cream.
I feel that. It's like, and I only ask that because you're a truck driver, but I ask all my friends that on like road trips. Mm-hmm. Anytime we're on a road trip, and I was like, "What's your go-to?" Because I feel like people have staples and they don't veer very much. Like I'm pretty strange when it comes to that. Oh, my drink's pretty simple. I just drink Arnold Palmer, the Arizona half and half tea, half lemonade.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to drink. I don't ever really veer from that, but I'm weird that I'm a big fan of off-brand sour cream and onion chips. I ate so many Lay's growing up that I'm like kind of sick of them. Like it makes me sick to my stomach. Like at my grandma's house growing up, they had like pretty much like a full-on pantry and like in the hallway, and we had free reign to the snacks. So like they never stopped us, even if we were about to eat dinner. And they had always had sour cream and onion Lay's in there, and I got so tired of them. But sour cream and onion is my favorite chip flavor, so I always get off-brand. Any other brand that's not Lay's, I think they taste better. But it's partially because I think I've ate so many Lay's in my life. But yeah, I'm a little strange when it comes to that. I just wanted to know. Yeah. And so I know you through Church of the Mill. We both go to the Woodruff campus, and it's pretty fair to say, I don't want to assume, we're both there partially because of Adam, the pastor.
Yeah.
What does Adam Siski mean to you? He might see this, he might not.
Adam means the world to me. I'm so thankful for Adam. His love for Jesus, just how on fire he is for Christ, lit a fire in me. When I moved down to Woodruff, he was a chaplain for the Woodruff football team.
Yeah.
And that's when I first met Adam. And Adam was just I had a chaplain back at Spartan High, and he was a great chaplain. But I didn't really connect with him as well as I did with Adam. When I met Adam, it was a click. Mm-hmm. Like it was just like, okay, this guy, I can rock with him. Mm-hmm. I can roll with him. Yep. And he invited me to church, and this is back when Woodruff at the Mill wasn't a thing, so it was still a central campus. So I heard DJ speak, and it just helped me fall in love with how seriously to take the word. And then Adam spoke. I remember hearing him preach, and I was just like, yeah, this is it right here. Yeah. And I just thank Adam just for inviting me and lighting that fire, and just being a great friend.
Yeah, he's been a great friend and mentor. I know he's super big on accountability, and he's definitely checked you on some things to hold you accountable. So you don't have to go into details of things he's held you accountable to, but why do you feel like accountability is so important and when it comes to like community and friendships?
For one, it really tests a friendship. It takes guts to tell somebody when they're doing wrong, because you don't know how they're going to react, right? Definitely when it's your first time in your friendship, when you tell somebody, or when you call them out on something they're doing wrong, you don't know if it's going to affect the friendship, if they're still going to see you the same. Because a lot of friendships are surface level. It's as long as you don't call me out on what I'm doing wrong, and I'm not calling you out on what you're doing wrong, we'll be great friends, right? But you can't you can't build a deep relationship that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so accountability is huge, and definitely in a Christian's life.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely need accountability because we all fall away, and
Yep.
if you don't have someone
Mm-hmm.
to pull you back and call you out when you're falling away, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
hard to see. Because we as humans and sinful creatures, we tend to make excuses for when we start falling away.
Exactly. That's perfect explanation of that. Because when I think about accountability, I have a couple people in my life, but accountability really only benefits both sides if you're also vulnerable and will come to that person when you fall. Like, it's not just saying like, Hampton, I know you messed up, I'm gonna tell you that you messed up. It's more, even when I don't know what's going on, you're still gonna come to me and say, hey bro, I fell to this sin, I struggle with this. Like, I just wanted to let you know because I know we're supposed to be holding each other accountable, and I can't just do that when you know about it. Like, it has to go both ways. I have to tell you when I struggle, and you got to be able to call me out when you see something that's wrong. And I feel like that's where true accountability comes from, because like it's so easy to struggle with things in our own lives that we might not tell anybody about, but they might only see like the one sin that's very public. Like, I might have very evident pride, and so it's very easy for them to check me on that publicly because they can see it. They can see it how I act with people, but they might not see with the behind closed doors that I'm struggling with depression, or like I'm struggling with like pornography or whatever. And so accountability really only is beneficial if you're willing to be vulnerable back and say, I will tell you, hey, I know it's not right, but I did this. Like,
Right.
I need your encouragement. I need you to know that I'm struggling with this, so you can like keep up with me, so that I'm doing good. And what did I write there? I have no clue. But yeah, so I was just wanted to mention Adam because I know he's like huge in your life and in mine, because I'm at the Woodruff campus a lot because of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
He challenged me when I was still at Central. He's like, I know you live like half and half. Like, at my address is technically Woodruff, but I live like pretty much in the middle between the two. And he's like, I'm like, would you want to be part of something new? Like, be a part of a church plant and see what that feels like, of building a community almost from the ground up, not fully from the ground up because we had a launch team. But he's like, I want you to do it. He's like, I want you to come be a part and help with the student ministry. I've never really been a student ministry like volunteer before that. I pretty much only served with the kids because I always like love like helping with the children. But Adam challenged me with that, and it's definitely taught me a ton about like discipleship, helped me to make relationships with the younger generation, the high schoolers, so that they can have a good mentor and somebody to look towards. Because I know, at least for me, I don't know about for you, like it's hard for me to go to like say like DJ or somebody like a crazy like head pastor, like super spiritual,
Right.
like super close to the Lord. It's hard for me to like go and like be intentional with them or like have a strong conversation with them. So I got to have like that middle ground of like somebody that's not like the head, but like somebody that's more mature than me.
Why do you think that is?
I guess just a comfortability sake. Like, I just, not that maybe it's a little feeling of a less than. I mean, we're all working in our relationship with Christ, but I feel like I struggle with, like, even with Adam, like sometimes I struggle with wanting to go talk to him, but I'll go talk to like Andrew Smith, who used to live across the street from me. He's a pastor at the Central Campus. He's like the missions assistant or associate missions pastor, and I'll go to him. That's because I built a relationship with him. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. But accountability is huge. But outside of accountability, like friendships are meant to be long term, or if not, they're very surface level and they just kind of fade away.
Right.
We've all had friends in our lives that come and go with the wind, pretty much. Whether it's a sport we play with them for a season, or they're in this club with me for a year, and then after that, like I never really talk to them anymore. Why do you like? I want to know, like, what do you think the keys are to like a long lasting friendship?
Yeah, I kind of got that experience when I transferred from Spartan High. I remember my last day at Spartan High, and I had so many friends at Spartan High, and I didn't know how that was going to affect my relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my mentor there, Coach Brown. He's actually the baseball coach at Woodruff now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was letting him know, hey, I think I'm about to leave, and I think I'm going to leave and go to Woodruff and play football there. And I got so emotional in that moment because it was just a jump into the unknown. I didn't know how it was going to affect my relationship with the friends that I had at Spartan High. So I remember crying because I just did not know how to handle that feeling of just fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just didn't know if I was going to make friends in Woodruff. And making friends in Woodruff changed my whole perspective of friendship. All right, so I don't
love that.
I don't have any friends from Spartan High from my grade. I do still have 2 friends from Spartan High that I still communicate with. And the difference is that we being vulnerable. The people that I still talk to today from Woodruff, I'm vulnerable to them. I still open up and tell them, like, we're always telling each other about our problems, even if we don't even know the answer to the problem. Just the comfortability of being able to say, hey, dude, I'm struggling with this, or my mom's going through this, and just being, being able to share things that we're going through.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even just hey, here's the solution. It's just like, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that, but I'm praying for you.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing of like bearing each other's burdens.
Yes.
It's like, that's like what community is supposed to be about, is being there. Even if we don't have the answer, it's like, I'm still here for you.
Right.
Even if it's just your presence, like I'm coming here and I'm going to be in your presence and hang out with you, or just hearing your voice. It's like, I know there's nothing really you can tell me to fix the problem, but it's just the fact that, like, I know that you're there for me. And so that's super cool to hear that you have that in friends that you still have from Woodruff. But another thing that you have, like, a heavy heart on, we can talk about this if you want, like, you have a really strong desire for your family to know Jesus.
Yes, I felt so much conviction that, like, I was learning so much about the Lord, and then I wasn't sharing it with my siblings. And then when I moved to Woodruff, that's the first time I got close with my brother. His name is Sid. He's my oldest brother.
He's the one that coaches at Woodruff?
He's the one who coaches at Woodruff. He doesn't coach anymore, but he was coaching at the time where when I went over there.
Okay.
And our relationship got stronger automatically just by being around each other. I spent nights at his house after football games. I was around my nephew a lot more. So my relationship with just him and his family automatically got stronger. But we had some deep conversations, not just about, Christianity, but also about my dad, and hearing how life was, because I never got a perspective of how it is growing up without your biological father in the home. And hearing that made it completely different to me. It made me mourn over, like, the fact that they never, like, got that foundation. So I felt convicted about that, and I wanted to try to lay that foundation for them. And I just prayed that God light a fire inside of me to continuously pray and not to get tired of trying to share the gospel with them. And he did. Yeah, he definitely did that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like, always, like, my dad's a youth pastor, or he was. He's not a youth pastor anymore. And so, like, all growing up, he would always be like, man, he's like, if you don't have a burden for the lost souls, like you need to check yourself, pretty much. He's like, that's the whole goal of being a follower of Christ, is seeing the ones that you know and love come to know Jesus. Like, that's like there's not a bigger praise than that. Right. And so I remember being challenged by that growing up. He'd always just be like checking me, like, if I would say something that's pretty judgmental or whatever, he'd be like, no, you need to show love to that person, because you have no clue, like, where their heart lies in eternity, or where their soul lies for eternity. And he always used to, like, challenge us in that. And so, yeah, another thing I wanted to ask you about, because I just got off mine, I want to know why you were willing to start doing 24-hour fasts with me, or, like, at least implement that into your life. Why did you want to do that personally?
Because it was going to strengthen our relationship. I knew it was going to strengthen our relationship. So I knew we watched Super Bowls together, but what brings people closest together is suffering together. Yeah, it definitely brings people together. So when you talked about fasting, I was just like, hey, I knew you was committed to that. Yeah. And I was like, this would definitely strengthen my relationship with God. So I was like, let's do it. I'll do it.
So what's been your thoughts so far? You've done 3 now, right?
Yes, I've done 3.
3 or 2?
I've done 3.
I know you failed one, but I failed like
one.
Your first one. But
yes. So my thought process on it's gotten so much easier. Yep. So the first time, like you said, it's trying to stop eating out of habit. It's just, if you don't think about it, and water is your friend. I tell you. So I learned that it's best for me to fast from starting after I eat in the morning and going through the rest of my day. Because when I wake up, I'm typically not hungry, so it's easy to make it to that hour. Yeah. So I kind of found my time zone and comfortability, and that really worked out for me.
Yep. Do you feel like it has helped you in any way? Like obviously, it's building our relationship is something we can bond over, something like you said, we can suffer together. Do you feel like it's like not necessarily health benefits? Do you feel like it tests you spiritually? Like, do you feel like it makes you like say, like, or does it make you more productive in a way? Like on those days, do you feel like you put your energy and your thoughts towards other things since food can't happen?
Yes, it definitely makes me. It actually motivates me a lot more because, like, I'd be like, let's get it. I'm going into it, and I know when I start to get hungry, I'm just like, all right, it's starting. Let's lock in. Start drinking water, and so it actually gets me pumped up throughout the day, and it makes me stop. It honestly makes me think about the little things that I do in life out of habit, and just not just with food, just out of social media. I just thought about, like, you know what? If I eat food out of habit, I know humans are habit creatures. So I'm just like, I just wonder if I'm just scrolling mindlessly on TikTok or Instagram. So it made me very aware of just other things I do out of habit.
Yep. Habits are so easy to form. Like I just got an Apple Watch like not too long ago. And the other day I forgot to put it on. I left it on the charger. And I literally kept going like this all day, looking to check what time it was, and I couldn't stop the habit. I had already formed the habit and I couldn't break it. I was staring at a blank wrist for a whole day. Probably looked at it like 20 times. I couldn't stop. But that's just it brings up your point of saying like we are habit creatures. Like everything that we do is pretty much out of habit, whether we like it or not. It's like I got to get up at this certain time every day, whether I like it or not, because I got to be at a job at a certain time. It means I get off at a certain time. I'm pretty much doing the same things every day. Come home, that's why I wanted to do this podcast, because unless you make an intentional effort, you're going to talk to the same people every day.
Right.
Whether that's your wife, your family, your like mom and dad if you live with them still, or if you have a roommate, like I have a roommate. Like if you don't make an intentional effort, you're going to be in a habit and a ritual where you literally don't talk to anybody new or build relationships that matter.
Right. There was a quote actually for our track team. It was, "We form habits, and then habits form us." And it was just like, you know, he was just telling us, "Hey, form good habits. Don't form bad habits, because if you form bad habits, that habits gonna come out on you. Like it's gonna represent you now. That's who you become. So form good habits."
Yep, that's what it's all about. Well, Hamp, I appreciate you coming and talking to me for a little bit. One of the last things I wanted to ask you is like, bro, is there anything in your life currently that you need prayer for?
Yes. Please pray over my siblings.
Yes.
I'm still trying to reach out to them. It's been a progress. Pray over that. Pray over my relationship with my wife and my church family.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just always constant prayer, and a need for me, and just a prayer that God would just use me, continue to use me the way that He wants me to be used. That don't let my feelings and desires get in the way.
I love that. I'll definitely be in prayer for you. I just wanted to ask that so I could be praying for you. But yeah, well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. Thank you for talking for a little bit.
For sure.
And I pray that like this is like a stepping stone in building our friendship.
I appreciate you. I thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.